Hello there, this is Steady Rollin' Bob Margolin, and I'm proud to be with Blues Radio International this afternoon, live from home.
Thank you for joining us, Bob, as we continue our antiviral world tour. It's a pleasure to visit you in North Carolina. What's going on with the coronavirus where you live?
Well, as of the last time I went out, which was a few days ago, people were still going to the stores. But I think because of the news in the last few days and from really great warnings on the internet and also from our friend Dr. Janice Johnston, everybody is getting hip. Stay in as much as you can. On the other hand, I stocked up on some supplies a while ago. Now, this is kind of a sad story here, but I went to the drugstore and I found some new Sharpies so I can sign my CDs at gigs that I don't have for at least a few months. So these Sharpies are going to stay right in their Sharpie pack, and I'll use them when I can. Now, that was being optimistic, and I think that's a good thing for us to be. However, I'm also realistic. While I was there, I also picked up something very valuable.
Yeah, you would have to trade a couple of pounds of frozen chicken wings for one of those.
Yeah, well, you keep the wings, I'll keep the TP, and we're cool.
All right. So, you have a beautiful guitar in your hand. Can you tell us about it? And then,
Well, I was told this is about a mid-1930s Gibson L00, and I bought it near where I live, but I was in Greensboro in 1986. There used to be a vintage guitar shop owned by a guy named Dave Shepard, and I saw this on the wall. I picked it up, I played it for a minute, and then I took my credit card out and I got out of that store with it as fast as I could. And it's a beautiful guitar. It's got no highs and no lows, but it's angel sweet in the middle.
wow.
And as it happened, over the years, the guitar began to split at the peg head, and I had it fixed once. It split again. Last year, I got it fixed by a local luthier named Bob Rigaud that did a wonderful job on it. When he saw the guitar, says, "Let me work on it for a while. When you get it back, you're not going to believe how great this guitar is." And he was right. It's very inspiring to play this. A guitar that is so sweet and so responsive, and it's a wonderful blues guitar. I will say that in 2003, after playing a gig in Marietta, Ohio for the Blues Society there, Hubert Sumlin stayed at my house. And this guitar was about the same age as the late, great Hubert Sumlin, and he fell in love with it. And I'll send you a picture of him playing it here later on.
We'd love to see that.
And I have a lot of pictures of wonderful people playing this. I have one of Nappy Brown, who wasn't a guitar player, but he was a great singer, and he was doing a session in Kernersville, North Carolina in 2008. I brought this guitar down there to play a song with him, and I did. However, I always try, instead of getting it autographed, I get a picture of people with this guitar when I can. And I got the late, great Nappy Brown, and unfortunately another great musician that we lost on the same day, Sean Costello.
Yeah, what a tragic loss for all of us.
Yes, he was. As a matter of fact, I actually had a dream about him early this morning, right before I woke up. And we were talking and we were playing together. His I hadn't been thinking about him specially, but very, very real in a dream with Sean Costello just this morning.
Oh. So, what are you inspired to play for us? We are all waiting as we are in lockdown to have you take us somewhere very special. Where's that going to be?
Well, now thinking about some of the wonderful musicians I know who have actually had this guitar in their hands while I had a camera, I'd like to play a song that I wrote about 3 or 4 years ago for anybody that I love or anybody that I know that is with me, but only in spirit now. I wrote the song very shortly after the great piano player David Maxwell passed away. He was one of my best friends, but I mean it for friends, family, musicians, and everybody I loved who is gone now. And I hope we can all stick around for a while. I uh, I couldn't say goodbye, but I could say goodnight. So let me try and play that for all of us and all the friends and musicians and family that we loved. Good night, good night. I feel the love you left behind. You're alive as long as I am. In my heart and on my mind. And goodbye is just not right. So I'll just say good night. I see your smile above me while I play these blues for you. You see my tears below. Love forever is really true. And goodbye is just not right. So I'll just say good night. You reach out to me again. I welcome your embrace. You're always right beside me every time in any place. And goodbye is just not right. So I'll just say good night.
Absolutely beautiful, Bob. You
Thank you, Jeff.
you had the opportunity to know, to learn at the feet of, and to really be close friends with so many of the greats in our music. And I'm sure some of them come to you as you play and sing that song.
I really feel everybody I ever learned from and everybody I ever loved, a lot of them are the legends of the blues that I'm just the right age to have known when I was a lot younger. But Jesse, you know what really inspires me now? And I get asked about, okay, they're gone. Now what moves you? I'm the musical director of the masterclass workshops for the Pinetop Perkins Foundation. And we try to carry on Pinetop's legacy of wanting young people to be able to learn the blues music that he loved. Pinetop was born in 1913 and he left us in 2011. I'll tell you the story of how he left us before I go on for a second. Pinetop lived in an assisted living place in Austin, Texas. He was 97 years old. The month before, he had gone to Hollywood and won a Grammy Award. He already had a Lifetime Achievement Award, but he won his Grammy for an album he had done with the drummer that was in Muddy Waters band at the same time as I was and he was, Willie Big Eye Smith. They did an album called Joined at the Hip, and it won a Grammy Award in 2011. And Pinetop went back to his assisted living place afterwards, went out and partied every night. He'd go sit in the corner of a club and sell CDs, no matter who was playing, and people would come up to him to get pictures with him and to buy CDs. He'd make more money in one night than he used to make in a week in Muddy Waters band. And one day he woke up this morning like a blues man, and he played some solitaire. He liked to do that in his room just to pass the time. He he didn't have an iPhone. Anyway, he would slam the cards down like he was a tough guy, which he probably was in about 1930. And after he finished his card game, he said, you know, I think I'll take a nap. And about an hour later, somebody checked on him and found him lying on his bed with his hands laced behind his head and a big smile on his face. And the life had just gently gone out of him at the age of 97. And that's the easiest way to go I ever heard of. And I'm glad it was him. It also means everything he ever did, he got away with.
That is true. What a beautiful story, though. Thank you for telling us that. Every time you and I have a conversation offline and informally, I feel like, or anytime we're together or out walking, I feel like I need to wear a body cam because I'm losing so much history that I'm hearing from you for the first time. And I really appreciate having the opportunity to share it with our audience. I've had, there's one lingering question a lot of people had. How did a kid your age at that time in that place end up playing with Muddy Waters and becoming an integral part of his band?
I'll tell you that as soon as I finish telling you that Pinetop's legacy.
Yes.
This Pinetop Perkins Foundation would puts on these workshops, and the young people that come to those workshops, that's what inspires me now. I learn from them and I catch a little bit of their youthful spirit, and they become my good friends. There's a real family thing going on there. Now, back to Muddy Waters, also in Clarksdale. Although, weirdly enough, though, Muddy Waters, when he was asked in interviews where he was from, he said, born in Rollin Fork and raised in Clarksdale. And during the entire time I was in his band from August 1973 to June 1980, we never played in Mississippi once. He did go back there later on before he passed, but I was never there and played in Mississippi with him. I would have loved to have seen Muddy Waters in Clarksdale. That would be blues as deep as it gets. Somebody has seen it. I believe his family did. But for me, I fell in love with his music after hearing it on the radio and hearing him play slide guitar. And that really, really moved me. I heard that slide guitar and I said, well, I'm already a guitar player because I'd been playing for a year or two by then, but I'd been inspired by Chuck Berry. And when I heard Muddy Waters slide guitar, I said, that's where I want to go. And then after the introduction to the song, I heard that voice come in and I said, oh my God, this singer has a great slide guitar player too. I heard it on a college radio station, WBUR in Boston. And I soon found out it was the same person playing the slide guitar and singing. And Muddy Waters became my favorite musician right at that time. And so I went to see him whenever I could, and eventually was in bands that opened shows for him. And he could see that I was trying to play. His term for it was old school Chicago blues. He had kind of pioneered the electric band in the late 40s, 1940s, and early 1950s. In other words, it came out about the same time I did. And he had an electric band that could play in bars and be heard over people talking and partying and shouting and laughing and dancing with each other. And that was the sound that a lot of people fell in love with, and I did too. I was just smart enough in the bands I was in not to do Muddy Waters songs on gigs when we were opening for Muddy Waters. But we did Elmore James and Howlin' Wolf and Jimmy Rogers and Jimmy Reed, the usual suspects. And I enjoyed that music very deeply. One of the people that I had played with in the couple of years before I joined Muddy's band was Luther Georgia Boy Snake Johnson, who was a guitar player that used to play with Muddy Waters a few years before that. And he had moved to Boston, where I was raised, and I was in that music scene. And I got into his band for about 6 months, end of 1972 to the beginning of, it might have been end of 1971 to the beginning of 1972. And I learned a lot from him. He ran his band just the same way that Muddy did. It was like a minor league Muddy Waters band. There was another guitar player in the band too, named Mark Evangelos, who is still out there playing, and he's an amazing guitar player. I learned a lot from him while we were playing in clubs in Boston, generally 6 nights a week, 6 sets a night, and a 3-set matinee on Sunday. But who's counting? I am. It's 39 sets in a week. And I sure did learn a lot. I had a real heavy Les Paul guitar, and my left shoulder started to get lower than my right shoulder from having that guitar strapped on. and I was about 21 at the time. But I learned a lot from Luther. And one time when Muddy came into Boston to a club called Paul's Mall, I was the first one that came into the club that night. Nobody else was there, so I was able to get in, and I walked in, and the first one I saw was Muddy's harmonica player at the time, George Mojo, dreamy-eyed, good-looking Buford, who asked me the fateful question, do you have any, you know the rest of it. But then he said, oh, Muddy just fired Sammy last night, which would be Sammy Lawhorn, a guitar player that had been with Muddy for a long time, but I guess he had got Muddy angry just one too many times. And it had happened the night before I got there. And George said, wait here. And a minute later, Muddy came out of the dressing room and said, oh, good, come to my hotel tomorrow and bring a guitar. And Muddy presumed, without even talking to me, that if I could be in his band, that I would really, really want to do that. It was more than I would ever even dream of, as a matter of fact. But he knew that. And so I brought a guitar to his hotel the next day, and he said, play it. And I played a song that I played that Chicago blues. And then Muddy started singing while I was playing. So that was the big thrill of my musical life at that time at the age of 24. And I joined his band and was with him for 7 years and tried to use what I learned from him both to give him what he wanted on the bandstand and to learn it for myself as a musician. And the punchline to this story is he paid me.
That truly is amazing. Not everyone got paid.
He didn't get paid as much as he deserved, but
I'm sure. Well, that's amazing. But what's truly incredible for everyone to know and see is that your solo career has taken a totally different direction, respectful of Muddy and your long and storied work with him, but that's really uniquely you. And this last acoustic album is stupendous. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe play a song from it?
Well, last summer I was talking with my partners in the VizTone label group on a conference call, and I said to Amy Bratt from Bratt Girl Media and Richard Rosenblatt, the president of VizTone label group, and I'm kind of the A&R guy. I listen to stuff and say whether I like it or not, or bring them people. I said, I wonder if I should do another album this year. And Amy says, well, you could, if you do something that is different for you. Do something that distinguishes the album from your other ones, like, oh, an all acoustic album. And a little tiny blue light bulb went on over my head. And I thought about this guitar, which I had just had fixed up. And that was it. I started writing original songs. I took one that I had written before, and it was a song about blues clubs, and it was thankful to the women that go out and love this kind of music just for the music. And I'd written it kind of as generically about blues clubs, but I had the opportunity to change the words so they would reflect one of my favorite ones, the one in Phoenix that's owned by Bob Cortor, the Rhythm Room. And why not have him play on that song? So There were only two songs on the album that I had somebody else play on, but I changed the song called Blues Lover to Rhythm Room Blues Lover, and just changed a word or two and had Bob play a very cool harmonica part on it, which he always rises to the occasion. He's one of my best friends, and I love the partnership that we have musically. Uh, Another song I wrote, which I'm going to do for you in a minute, uh, was the title album, the title song of the album, This Guitar and Tonight. And I'd been doing some gigs last year and hope to do some more with Jimmy Vivino, great guitar player and an old friend and amazing singer. The shows we did were just the two of us, and it was called Just Two Guitars and 200 Stories, because we would tell the stories of the people we know that Jimmy put so well came out of our record collection and onto the bandstand with us. Or more like we were on the bandstand with them when we were a lot younger, and love and respect and learned a lot from those people. And today's audiences love to get that connection to the legends of the blues music that we were playing. So I did a song, This Guitar and Tonight, and Jimmy Vivino put a guitar part on it on this little tiny guitar that sounds like a mandolin that has 12 strings on it. And it's called Griffon, Gryphon, and it's the opening song of the album, This Guitar and Tonight. All the rest of them I played by myself. And I'm thinking of, while I happen to be home for a while, making a follow-up album that probably will just be me all by myself, called This Guitar and Tomorrow.
Oh, we can't wait to hear that, but I'm really looking forward to hearing this.
I'm going to have to conceive the album, write the songs, and then record it at home, but I'm ready. So, shall I give it a try right here?
Please, we can't wait.
I don't understand the past, can't even say about today. Don't try to guess the future, we never can anyway. All I know that's right is this guitar and tonight. I don't know the questions, and I sure don't know the answers. But I'll play it to your heart, and I'll try to move the dancers. All I know that's right is this guitar and tonight. I once loved a woman, she did not love me. I wanted to keep trying, but she did not agree. All I know that's right is this guitar and tonight. Sometimes I can't prevail, no matter what I do. All I know that's right is this guitar tonight. Now if I had lots of money and you thought denim means well dressed, if I had every earthly blessing, still I could not rest. All I know that's right is this guitar and tonight.
Wow. Very special, and I can hear, even over this Skype connection, the magic of that guitar with your voice. It's in the zone. So the National that's sitting there leads me to ask, why is it sitting there? Is there a reason for that? Because I think there's a great story behind this one that's makes it an historical artifact of great significance beyond being a musical instrument.
And I think there's a spirit inside it too. Well, you might notice, oh, excuse me. Hi, Calvin. Oh, here's the ball. Pam, catch.
Where's Carrie? And I saw a cat walk by in the background during one of these. So we have all the names of the performers here. What's the cat's name? I know Calvin and Carrie.
The cat's name is Coco, and Louie, the other cat, is outside.
Okay.
Don't worry, they hate when I play and sing, so they'll go away real soon.
So tell us about this beautiful instrument.
In about 1999, Pinetop Perkins played at a festival, a blues festival in the Northwest. And they had a raffle for this National steel guitar. And they gave him a ticket just for, I don't know why. He was on the show, so they gave him a ticket, but he happened to win it. And he said, well, I don't play guitar anymore. He hadn't played guitar since way before I was born, and then he became a piano player. But he said, I'm going to give you this guitar. I think he won it maybe a couple of years before 1999, but it was the first time he couldn't. This thing is very heavy. He couldn't have carried it around and put it on a plane with him. But one time when he was coming down to, I think, Alabama, with Willie Big Eye Smith, he took it with him, and he did give it to me. And I thanked him very sincerely, and I had him sign the peghead. I don't know, can you see where it says Pinetop? I can't hear you anymore. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was going to say I can just barely see it in the picture, but it really is, it's beautiful to have that on there. What an amazing memory, and what a gift from someone, from anyone, but from someone that special. I can't imagine what that's like to hold it.
Well, it means a lot to me. I don't get to play it very much, but if I do more acoustic gigs, I'm always going to bring it. And well, every time I play it, I whoop Pinetop pretty hard. But this guitar I have tuned up to a very strange tuning. It's like open G, which is fairly common for slide guitar players, but the B string, I mean the G, this, yeah, the B string, the second string is tuned down to a B flat, and that makes it open into a minor chord. Which makes it sad to begin with. It's a very emotional, deep sound, just playing it. Listen to how eerie a turnaround sounds up. So I like to do that, use that tuning on some songs. Here's one that I never used it on before, and it's another song from my new album, and this is one where I kind of always fantasized about what it would be like to go back in time and meet my younger self and be able to tell him, it's all right. Don't worry about that. Or, oh, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. And so I put that into a song, and it's called Overtime. I had a daydream, so real that it might be. Past, present, future, all together I did see. I walked and talked with a young man, and the young man was me. I know him well. He's a memory inside. But he can't recognize himself in my old man disguise. I'm gonna tell him all I know now. Pain and pleasure, truth and lies. Raise your hung down head. Your heart is broke, but you're not dead. Darkness not so cold, but there's a sunrise ahead. True love will bless your life. Just wait till you meet our wife. Overtime, today's hurt will not last. over time. Ooh, your future is my past. But won't someone please tell us, how did the years go by so fast?
Wow. Very deep. And I think all of these songs that we're playing and listening to as we go around the world visiting different people have such a different meaning or a different cast on them in the current environment.
Yeah, everything's different. I wrote a song just a few years ago about what my life had been for the past few years and what I expected it to be for as long as I could stay out here, which is crazy busy. Everybody's always got too much to do, try to make a living, to try and make the best music they can, to try and accomplish the things they want to do, and hopefully we all want to accomplish some good.
Well, I think that you've achieved a lot of good and you bring a lot of healing to people around the world with your music. And I really appreciate your joining us and drinking from a Blues Radio International mug while doing that. I didn't even have to pay for product placement there.
I'll send you the bill.
Okay. So, what can you take us out on that would be absolutely stupendous, make people faint when they hear it, or weep in the corner, one or the other?
Well, it's a song that just in the other room is the bedroom where I wake up when I'm home. And back in the days when I could go out, and I'm not crazy busy anymore. I'm doing everything I can, but I have more time to spend at home, which I really love. I just hate what's happening in the world, though. And that's the first thing I think of now when I wake up. But up until about 2 weeks ago, I'd wake up and go, oh, I'm still up in it. I have to do this. I have to do that. I better get up and not just let the dogs out, but take care of all the business that I'm about, 2 or 3 decades behind in accomplishing. And I wrote this song just a few years ago about it, about the just the crazy busy is such a good word for it. And what can you do but get your spirit together and say, I shall prevail. And that's what I tried to do with this song. Oh no, these are my first words today. I try to keep my eyes closed, but my sweet dreams fade away. And I realize I'm still me, and harder times are near. I got to face today, and the years that brought me here. But if I should fail, if I should fail, I can't fail, I shall prevail. Every day I have less money and one day less time. I used to roam through the world, but now I have to climb. I'm grateful for my blessings, music, dogs, and love. But today's cost of living is hard to stay above. I work hard to have a future and try to hide my tears and treat everybody with respect while I'm still here. But if I should fail, if I should fail, I can't fail, I shall prevail. Peace of mind with interest and a fee. The best politicians money can buy, they take a load for free. I never ran from temptation, now temptation runs from me. I try to stay strong and be all I need to be. And I play my blues with fire, there's a new song to be sung. I have to work much harder than I did when I was young. But if I should fail, if I should fail, I can't fail, I must prevail. I shall prevail. I shall prevail.
Steady rolling, Bob Margolin. We shall prevail over this situation.
Amen.
We're going to do it together, and thank you for bringing this musical healing to everybody and for joining us here. I hope to be checking back with you to do this again.
Amen. I got lots of them.
Okay. Well, we're going to look forward to that next time. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks for the opportunity, Jesse. And to everybody that's watching this, I love you and I can't wait to see you again in person. Let's be smart, be strong, and do everything we can.
I love you, Bob. Take care.
I love you and everybody. Thank you.